I wanted to tell you a story about fascia and a surgeon. I had a wonderful relationship with an excellent spinal surgeon in my area. And some years ago, I was in theatre with him, as I sometimes was. He invited me into theatre, and as the surgery was coming to a close and he was sewing up, there was just some chit chat, and he sort of said, "Well, what are you interested in? What are you into these days, Rog?" And I just said, "You know what? I'm getting interested in fascia." I said, "Well, I'm noticing patterns in people that sometimes they have a whiplash, and rather than just having a neck problem, I'm seeing a lot of people who've got, say, gastrointestinal issues or hiatus hernia, which comes from that. And there's a pattern I'm observing, and trying to understand how that's happening." And I got short shrift, and his response was, "Well, what are you going to do about that? Give them a large bolus of food to swallow?" And I pretty quickly shut up and realised that this was not a subject that he thought was bona fide, or that thought I was crazy. Very sadly, the relationship pretty much ended professionally after that. I tried to reach out to him. He said, "No, you're being paranoid." But having sent me 4 or 5 patients a week for probably 5 to 10 years, the referrals stopped, and I mean none at all. From having been probably his preferred physiotherapist for quite some time. So anyway, fast forward 10 years, and actually what happened was that there was more evidence coming out about this fascial structure and its importance, and then referrals started coming back from this surgeon, which was great. And he obviously was aware and thought, "Oh, I know a guy who's been working with that for a while." And so I was grateful for that restored relationship. And I think this is, I'm not having a go at him. I just think it's more an indication of a kind of a necessity for humility, I think, for all of us as clinicians. I can recall being a student and one of our lecturers, anatomy lecturers, saying, "Okay, look, everybody go home and read the chapter on fascia within Gray's Anatomy. We're not going to really teach it to you because I wouldn't worry too much about it because no one's going to ever test you on it." Well, I can tell you it's hugely important, and I was right to be curious about fascia at that time, and have spent probably 2 decades now working with the fascial system, and we've now found that there are photons of light passing through this connective tissue, and it's not even considered a connective tissue. Actually, it's a fibrous matrix. It's a crystalline matrix, in fact, which is constantly changing, and our blood vessels, our organs, our bones are really embedded in it. We're described a bit like a loofah. That's how we are, and this is really important structure. And to just denounce it and suggest it's not important was simply very naive. Fascia is very responsive to touch as well as movement. Now, there are people saying, "Oh, it's the fascia, you can't move it, you can't stretch it." I'm not talking about stretching it. I'm talking about influencing it as a structure. There's even, suggestions that potentially there is communication and energy transfer. And the speed of transfer, it's something like 12 times faster communication through the fascial system than it is within the nervous system. This is really important, and maybe even what some of the Chinese medicine of qi or Japanese ki were talking about in terms of energy flow. Now, we can argue the toss, and people get funny about calling it energy and qi. I don't care what you call it, but there is something flowing through the body which we didn't understand before. I suppose it makes us wonder, really, what else have we discarded? What else are we poo-pooing? What else are we disregarding in this wonderful human creature? Yeah, the connection of the mind and the body. So, I just wanted to say about humility in medicine. Really, if there are clinicians out there, we can either be terrified of what we don't know, or we can be really excited by it. Yeah, and I get excited and I get passionate about what I don't know, but what I begin to be curious about.